Howdy, folks. Windy City Thetan Watch here. Welcome. We are in I think I'm in a hotel lobby somewhere in the middle of Madison, Wisconsin. So my wife and I are up here visiting family and friends, and I've got a little bit of downtime. So I wanted to quickly do a little bit of an in-studio on a little bit of Christopher Reeves, so Superman. We're going to talk a little bit about Superman today and Superman's time in Scientology. So for those of you that don't know, Christopher Reeves was an actor who was one of the actors who played Superman. I think he was the first movie. That's not true. There were black and white movie Supermans, but Superman would have been somewhere in the 70s or 80s. We would have seen Christopher Reeve. And Christopher Reeve actually had a brief time in Scientology. So what you're going to kind of see today is the fallacy of the E-meter in Scientology. So for those of you that, I was kind of surprised as well. I came across an article of people who are in and escaped Scientology in this space. So, and no one might be able to back me up on this a little bit, but we've heard Aaron from growing up in Scientology say this before, that people who have been in Scientology for any period of time, they know how to make the needle float. And so for those of you that don't know, the E-meter is a passive resistance meter that basically you would hold in one in each hand, and if you were telling the truth, it would float in the middle, and if you weren't telling the truth, I think they would call it rocking the meter, or it would be pegged left, pegged right, something of that nature. But if you were worth your salt in Scientology, you knew how to trick this E-meter into doing what you needed it to do. So the way that Christopher Reeve gets into Scientology is that he meets a guy on the sidewalk. He's not quite acting yet. He's got some minor roles. He's not a big player in Scientology, and he's at a low point, which is not right. Many people that get involved in Scientology, they're at a low element or a potentially vulnerable spot in life, and they'll. Hopefully, by the way, I hope the sound's coming through well here. They'll walk into a testing center, and he went through the personality test. He had an audition that day of his personality test, and he thought that he was just going to be able to go in and come out. He was very competitive, and he wanted to win the personality test or show that he didn't have any flaws in regards to what was going on. He talks about when he went into the personality for the personality test, that he was kind of quizzed by several members of the church, kind of to see, is this guy for real or not for real? Now remember, Christopher Reeves is a nobody at this point in time. He's just a man on the street. I'll try and do the Aaron process. So hopefully this is a little bit better, because now it'll be in front of me. So what he thinks he's going to be in and out really quickly. He takes the test, and the people that are administering the test or proctoring the test, howdy MD Media, we're in studio today. We're talking about Superman. So you know what, I'm doing Aaron's trick with, let me just hold the mic here. Cricket, that's interesting. All right. So howdy Never End, great to see you. So he takes this test, and he's looking for his results, and they're not really able to get his results right away. Now remember, this is going to be early in the computerized element of the process. So just a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, we've got somebody on the phone here, so hopefully you're hearing me over the top of this. They tell him he's got to wait a day. I'll see if I can protect this. But potentially away from the microphone.
Yes.
Sorry about this, folks. They tell him, come back tomorrow. And when he comes back the next day, they give him his results. And right, just like we would always see, hey, you've got this little flaw. We've got a dip in the graph. Here's something we can work on. And he starts studying Scientology, and he goes through Scientology, and he takes some of the courses, and he's in the auditing process. Well, in one auditing session, he finally decides that he wants to tell a story because he's not able to talk about a problem or a gain in his life. So he tells this story, and the story that he tells is an old Greek myth in this process. And let me see if I can find that process. It's about a king and his son is going to try to attack this city. And if he comes back with white sails, it'll be victory. And he comes back with black sails, then he will have, that's the indication that the son has lost his life. And the battle takes place. The communication gets mixed up. He does come back with black sails. The king is very distraught. So the king takes his own life in that situation. And the son comes back and is totally crushed because his father now has, thank you, MD Media, I really appreciate that. The king is crushed, right? So he takes his own life. The son comes back, sees that his father is gone, and he then takes his own life. And the auditor says, wow, that's an amazing story. Sorry, something that I missed here is he's recounting a past life, or pretending to recount a past life in this space. And so as he recounts that past life, he talks about this Greek myth. And they talk about the Scientologist, or the Scientology auditor totally accepts the story that's going on in this space. So that it put Christopher Reeves so far off that he said, wow, I just told you a blatant lie, and you took that at face value. You're passing me on my audit. It's checked out. You think that I've done everything correctly, and I've lied to you in this particular scenario. So it's just very interesting to me that he was clever enough to attempt that trick because he wanted to get out of the auditing session. And then when he really thought about it, that he gets back to that element that says, wait a second, this is fake. That there's no way in the world that this is a real religion, or this device works, because I just told a made-up story. Well, not a made-up story, an old Greek myth, and they've taken it as my accounting of a past life, retelling a past life. So from that point forward, he very quickly decides that he's going to leave Scientology in this space. So it's just one of those things that we oftentimes hear ex-Scientologists talk about some of these stories, and okay, great. It's, if you don't know, if you're not an anti-Scientologist, you don't know Serge Delmar, you don't know Aaron Smith-Levin, but you do know Christopher Reeves, and Christopher Reeves now telling the story, and there's no reason for him to have told, to lie in this particular space, that he's absolutely credible in regards to this retelling of the story, in that Scientology thinks that he's lived a past life. I'm going to see if I can split my screens real quick. So I'm going to pull up the and let me do this one. Excellent. This story, yeah, I agree, right? Superman was no dummy. Don't step on Superman's cape. That when he found the story in a book called Nothing is Impossible, Reflections on a New Life. Let me grab this real quick. Sorry about that. I'm away from home. I tried to get something in quickly, and I'm not doing awesome. But let me show you the. Here's the title of the book, so you can look it up. You can buy the book. You can actually find this particular story on. Don't spin into the wind. Yes, I can't remember who's. There is a song out there right now on that particular element. I want to go through here real quick to see if I can find the actual story, because we in this book we're going to hear which Greek myth it was. Here's another story in there. The TR0 experience was relatively inexpensive, costing perhaps a few $100s, but the next step was auditing, which was outrageously expensive and would have to continue for an unspecified length of time. The church required a deposit of $3,000 in advance of one-on-one meetings with an auditor, which costs $100 an hour, and that's in 1975. Right. Even the best psychoanalysts at that point charge maybe $50 in that space. Let me see if I can. I'm going to do a quick search over here. Yeah, so I'm going to read directly from his book and his recounting of this. The paragraph starts, and that was the end of my training as a Scientologist. My story was actually a slightly modified account of an ancient Greek myth. I didn't expect my auditor to be familiar with Greek mythology. I was simply relying on their ability, assisted by the e-meter, to discern the truth. The fact that I got away with a blatant fabrication completely devalued my belief in the process. Of course, that was 1975, and my case may have been an exception to the rule in this space. So he didn't come out hard on Scientology, but he definitely said, I'm not going to do this anymore. If we listen to the story, right, that I sensed that the auditor was making a profound connection between the guilt over the death of my father when I was a Greek warrior in a past life and my relationship with my father in the present. So again, it was absolutely balderdash that that they were looking at anything that they had believed that he was lying to them. So I really kind of wanted to just do a quick live today. I know that we've got Corn out there on the streets and Juanita's out there on the streets. So we just went over basically Superman, or Christopher Reeves' short time in Scientology, right? So he went in, he took a few classes, he saw that the price escalated. And remember, Christopher Reeves is not wealthy at this point in time. He's not a well-known actor. He's in small roles at best, probably still doing commercials at this point in time. So this kind of money, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars in 1975 terms, is ridiculously expensive in that space. So there's a couple of things that I want to say here, that we oftentimes think that who could possibly fall for the behaviors of this cult. I wouldn't imagine Christopher Reeves to be a dumb human being, and you don't have to be stupid to be gullible in these scenarios, right? So the person walks in. We had an interview on our channel a couple of months ago with Dave Knoll. He runs a casino dealing school out in Las Vegas, and he, after leaving the military, was caught up in Scientology, and he said the same thing. I was at a low point in my life. It seemed pretty reasonable. The food, housing. He was a Sea Org member. He did sign the billion-year contract. And it's very easy to get tied up in these elements. I've said before that when we see people walking into the church, I don't think that they're stupid. I think that they're victims of a very reasonable, idealistic story in this space. So, yeah, and Christopher Reeves, really, the idea that what a strong person he was, right? I don't know if many of you remember the story of Christopher Reeves, but right, he's this actor, and he's very athletic, and this story recounts about how he was somewhat competitive in that process. That he had a horse accident and he broke his neck, so he was wheelchair bound for the rest of his life. He was I'm pretty sure he was a quadriplegic at that point in time, but and wheelchair bound for the rest of his life. And yeah, his family had to do a lot to take care of him, and it was sad to see that happen to such an iconic or heroic looking figure in that space. Hey, Joel, it's great to see you. So today we just did a brief recounting of the idea that the e-meter is such a horrifically false element in order to be able to tell truth or lie in the world of Scientology, right? When we think about it, we oftentimes hear about it as called the lie detector in this space, and we've heard again ex-Scientologists talk about the idea that in Scientology, you learn how to trick the e-meter or make the needle float. I believe that the term is make the needle float. But in reality, right, you've got this, it's an analog meter that's going to be either way over here or way over here, but you've got to keep it in the middle. And if you keep it in the middle, you're showing that you've got this resistance going through your body that tells we're telling the truth at this point in time. Yeah, actually, that's true. Danny, definitely congrats on the fundraiser. Definitely hope you're going to find an attorney who's going to serve you better than what we saw so far in this space. So that Scientology's e-meter is not a real device, right? Apologies. It is just a resistance capacitor that is showing the flow of electricity, right? The human body has electricity flowing through it. Our heart requires electric impulse. That's why pacemakers are so effective in regulating people who have heart conditions out there in the world. But it's so easy to deceive this e-meter, and most Scientologists learn how to do that. Morning, Chris. How are you doing? And what happened is Christopher Reeves was able to tell a past life story, which was really recounting a slightly altered Greek myth. And in telling that, he was able to get away with it. They cleared him through the course, and he thought, what balderdash is no longer want to be here. So, all right, that's kind of all I had today on this. I really appreciate everybody being here. But while we're here, let me ask, do we like this kind of content, right? I know that Aaron does this better. He's more used to it. I'll get better at it. Do you like hearing these stories, these in-studio stories? Are these things that add value to the channel? One thing I want to remind everybody, I will consistently be out there. I will be out there Monday morning or Monday afternoon trying to disrupt the body routers of Scientology. I do not want them in my community. I do think that it's dangerous, right? I've said this before. At the very lowest level, it is very innocuous. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, hey, what's the pathway to help, to wealth? What's the way to happiness? Golden rule type elements. Be kind to others, they'll be kind to you, right? Treat others as you want to be treated yourself. And these are not Scientology original thoughts. And it makes people feel like they've learned something when they have a win, right? The idea of, if you're feeling slightly depressed, well, just feel more positive about yourself. That might be the counseling you're going to get in those low levels. And when you do that in that space, you actually do start feeling better and less depressed. So then you come back and the church convinces you that it's attributed to whatever book they just sold you or whatever course you just took. And hey, we have a small room there. How about this? And it just escalates. And over time, the Christopher Reeves story, you said that at the lowest levels, it would only cost $100 for auditing, but it very quickly got up to the point where he would have to put $3,000 down in order to do one-on-one auditing with these counselors. And that's what happens in these testing centers. So in Chicago, when I'm at the Ideal Org, that's a testing center that's in there. There's classrooms upstairs as well, and there are the people that have actually joined the church are going in and going up on those upper levels. But the people that are, I use the word victims, and I know that victim can be a loaded term. It's the best thing I can think about. But these raw candidates that come in, they're being sucked into what seems to be a reasonable, idealistic org, and then becomes, I don't know if people know what the sunk cost is, but that idea that, hey, I paid attention to it this far, why don't I keep paying attention to it in this space? That is awesome. One thing, so in Southern Illinois, there's a town called Metropolis, and Superman is on their water tower down there. So what I'm saying is the reason that I'm out there on the streets is I do think this is a dangerous organization, and I do think that those flyers that they pass out are very deceptive and they're manipulative, and they do bring people inside the doors. And once they get in, it's very easy for them to fall prey to the conditioning and the mental brainwashing that Scientology is so well known for in this space. So, what else? While we're here, I've got a little bit of extra time. While we're here, what other things would you like to see on the channel, or how can I make this more informational and more helpful to you as an audience? And if you're here in the replay crew, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, share this out. If you think that somebody else will find value in this, definitely share it out. I would definitely love if we could get a clip out to Natalie. That would be awesome. Let's see what I've got here. And so the Aquaman, the only Aquaman I know is Jason Momoa, I think is his name. But Superman, there's been plenty of Supermans, right? We've seen George Reeves, Christopher Reeves, and several others there. Thank you so much, Anna. That's awesome. I hope that I can do this. Yes. So right now I'm on my iPad, and that's why I'm a little bit clumsy here. I can't really switch screens, and I can't show you the document that I'm reading from. As soon as we're done here, I will post the Google book where you can see that. And earlier I posted the, Henry Cavill. I posted the name of the title of the book that this is taken from. And that's a great idea over and out, right? I do want to look for more of these mind control tactics that Scientology uses in there. PTS for Life, Jeff, did this is probably 2 months ago, the idea that one of the best things that Scientology does is it strips your individuality. It makes you feel part of a group, and then once you feel part of that group, that you can't live without that group. You don't exist outside of the group. And Scientology is all about creating groups, and it creates all kinds of groups, and you can be a participant in more than one group. So if we were to think about that there are still cliques in Scientology because, again, they're humans. So you will see that maybe the Sea Org people, they're in another group inside of the group of Scientology, or that we're the publics that live on the north side of Chicago, and then we're the publics that live on the south side of Chicago. So you create these groups that exist, and you make people feel that they can't withdraw from those groups. You know what? Let me see if I can find. You know what? I don't think because of the device I'm on that I'm going to be able to get to Danny's GoFundMe. But what I will do in this is in the description, I'll put in Danny's GoFundMe. I think he's in pretty good shape right now in regards to that process. And no one, yep, great point. But Yeah, I do remember. Well, there's a couple of them in that space, and I think PTS Jeff would have shown us that as well. So, okay, let's go look there. Jen Weil, thanks for being in here. Jules, great to see you. Anna from Canada, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love this. And by the way, for all the channels, whenever you're watching channels, if you see something, definitely try to clip that we have too many creators who are bashful is maybe the term I'll say, and they're afraid of promoting their own channel, or they feel that it's odd if you promote your own channel. They should do it. If you are a creator, definitely make clips. Natalie's looking for that. It's helpful. Early on, Natalie could watch a lot of YouTube and find clips on her own. Now she really does need our help. And I'm going to say that if you have a person that you really like what their content is, make sure that you're grabbing that and sending that off to Natalie. Yeah, I think that he spoke about that again yesterday. Was it yesterday with Aaron? So he and Aaron were on recently because Jeff is going to go back to school for a counseling certificate, and the teams are going to work with that. And yeah, Marina, I'm going to be back in the city tomorrow, so I definitely will be out there tomorrow protesting. I'll definitely be out there Monday as well. Let's see here. Yeah, she absolutely does. And by the way, Natalie is very intentional about the idea of saying, hey, I want you to tell me brag about yourself. She wants to help grow these channels, right? And I'm the same way. That my desire is to make all of the channels grow big. I don't really want to say I don't want to be the biggest channel. And by the way, I'm not the biggest channel in Chicago, right? I'm probably the smallest channel in Chicago. But the idea that I want to make sure that we're self-promoting and promoting everybody in our communities, because there needs to be more channels. People will get burnt out. People are going to leave this community, and it's not that they're pro Scientology. It's that it becomes more challenging to be out here all the time. So it's really important that we do work on that. Excellent. I'm going to put this up. I know it doesn't really help on there, but yep, if you're not already a subscriber of Marina's, let's go over to her channel and subscribe. And Marina, you can email me, and when I go out tomorrow. Oh, yeah, this annoys me. I don't like the bullying. I will say there's a lot of backbiting going on. I don't. Hopefully you are not seeing in private. I will talk to other people and say, hey, I think that's uncool, but I don't really do it on the channel publicly. I don't want to call people out. I don't condone bullying in any way, shape, or form. I don't care who it is, right? I don't care if you're the big guy punching down. I don't care if you're a small person trying to get in. It just really is uncool. I would encourage you to stay as positive as possible. I fully understand that the more fights and beef that you can cause on YouTube, the more clicks and likes and money and monetization will come there. I would say I'd rather be the straightforward. Let's go protest the Scientology. Let's educate as many people as we can about Scientology. And if that creates a monetization level, great. But I don't want to take that negative perspective of, if it bleeds, it leads, and fighting is what's going to get us those elements. Yeah, this is a good one. I will do that. I have read Dianetics, and I do think we can break that down a little bit. One of the things that I want to do with Declared Dave, and if we can put Dave's chat in our Dave's channel in there, I want to do a OT3, OT4, OT5 for never ends, because I think there's a lot of people that at never ends don't understand what happens in these operating Thetan classes, right? Or classes in the courses of operating Thetan in there. So I think Dave is a very educated person. I'd also love if we could get, it's always great to have people like Neverin and Patrick, and there's several other people who have better knowledge about Scientology. I would love if we could figure out a way to get Nor to come on and chat with us. But the idea that the never-in point of view in regards to these courses and these elements, I think that that's valuable because I need to learn, right? And my thinking is many of you who are also never in, we're curious. We want to learn more about this. And that, again, that's one of the reasons why I'm so supportive of Declare Dave in this space. And Marina, if you need to find a time where you think it's more safe, definitely email me. I'll email you on weekends. Oftentimes when I go out during the middle of the day, because I have a break from my clients, I'm going on spur of the moment, so it doesn't really make it's not helpful for me to broadcast to a large number of people that I'll be out there. But whenever I go out there on the weekends, I'm typically blind copying a large amount of people that I know are in or around Chicago and willing to protest. So I always do that. I agree with that. Now, I will say some of them are funny, right? But you're right that it's scary reading in one of those. So not all of the books are great, I'm hearing. And I'm going to say here, I'm 100% that I hope that you're seeing that every single one of my streams, I am either educating or I'm protesting. And I know that sometimes we chase those body riders around and we don't have a lot of success. It's a boring 2 hours. We might not really encounter anybody, but that doesn't change the way that I want to treat this channel, that I want to say that I'm out there trying to protest Scientology. And I want to give a voice to the second gens and the ex-Scientologists who were traumatized by this organization. I was not traumatized by the organization. I'm a never in. So one of the things, I don't know if everybody here knows, but I have another channel called Wendy Wanders the City. And today, again, I'm up in Madison, and there was a farmer's market here at the town square in Madison. And it's not a town, it's a city, at the city square. And we saw a Muslim person handing out Quran, right? And that in most religions who believe in their religion, now I'm not going to tell you that the religion's good, bad, indifferent. No way in the world am I going to try to step on that landmine. But I will tell you that for the most part, almost all religions want to freely give you information because they think they are helping the world, and they want to be positive in a free manner rather than this pay to play. I'm not telling you that the religious organizations don't take in money, but it's not the business mechanism that we see out of Scientology, right? Okay, folks, we've been here for half an hour. I really appreciate everybody joining in. I'm going to try to get more content like this. I want to be a little bit more consistent about this. I think that I want to do, during the day, I'll protest, and during the evening, I want to do more content like this, and even panels. I want to talk to other people who are protesting and kind of say, hey, what's working for you? What's not working for you? If we remember that many of the organizations are built differently. Chicago, St. Paul. By the way, I will be up for the celebration of Tony's life, and I'm going to lead a protest, or I'm going to help Natalie get some people out protesting the St. Paul organization. That also happens to be an urban street front space. Chicago, Portland, Seattle, very much sidewalk. You can walk up to the building. Now then you've got Denver, which has a parking element. The California orgs that I was looking at right in Los Gatos and Silicon Valley, those were drive in, so you couldn't stand on the sidewalk and try to protest them in those spaces as easily. So, but I want to have more panels with some of the people that I just think are ferocious protesters, and they're just out there all the time. And if we think about that, that's MD Media, Eric Rader, not Chicago Cubs, Cubs champion 16. And I don't mean only that in this space, that there are other people that really do a great job. And by the way, I am never telling you that my way of protesting is better than. I just like my way of protesting naturally. That's why I do it. We love that we've got the Pearl Snappies out there, and we've got the, I'll say that while DOA has had some interesting elements, when he's out there yelling and shouting and being that protester, I love his shouting protesting. William Good, right? William Good is the reason that we have street level protesting these days. He and Jessica being out there. Anna, you've been thank you for being so generous. Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. Okay, folks, you should see me tomorrow. You 100% will see me on Monday. I'm very confident you'll see me tomorrow out there on the element. And, this is one of my favorite things. I love that I can tell that I am bothering them. So when I'm bothering those body routers, I'm going to say I get pleasure out of it, right? I get to giggle a little bit in that space. So, no one, thanks for being a member for 2 months. I really appreciate that. And Anna, those five memberships are awesome. Make sure to thank Anna for that. All right, folks. Now I promise I have to leave. My wife is going to start protesting against me. So thank you for all being here. Hopefully this is a helpful story. You'll see me definitely on Monday and probably tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.